elected to Congress and demanding the impeachment of George W. Bush again. The left-leaning loudmouth talk show host has decided to lay off Donald Trump for the time being in order to save her energy to go after President Bush. For the last 2 days, Rosie has been using her airtime to demand the impeachment of the president.
We've given you nearly 4 years and 3,000 American lives. Enough, sir. Someone, I believe, should call for the impeachment of George Bush to let the world know that the nation is not standing behind this president's choices, that the nation, a democracy, feels differently than the man who is leading as if it were a dictatorship. Do you think that some senator, for principle, if not for follow-through, should call for the impeachment of George Bush?
Rosie spews, but does her audience listen? With me now, OK Magazine's Courtney Hazlett. So, Courtney, I know that she's trying to get a lot of attention, but this is a little out of her depth. Let me put this on the screen. Rosie demands the impeachment. Is this the Democrats' new direction? I mean, is this what her left-wing base wants, or is this just a loudmouth in action?
I think there's a lot of loud mouthery at work here, if you will. Rosie's really mixing issues here, which is one of the biggest problems with this whole situation. She's saying she's anti-war, but she's acting anti-Bush and saying, let's impeach him. If you impeach George W. Bush, you end up putting Dick Cheney in office, and I really don't think that's what Rosie's going after.
No, she'd want 2 impeachments in a row. Yeah, I'm sure she hasn't thought ahead to realize President Cheney would be in charge for 2 years and she couldn't touch him. But Rosie has a big audience. There are a lot of people out there. It's a heavily female audience, a lot of people watching her show. Do you think she has an influence on the feelings of the country as the Democrats take over and actually think about this?
I think she has a tremendous influence. Even though Rosie is a really polarizing woman, she does have a huge contingency of people who respect what she says, and she's speaking irresponsibly at this point. I think that the producers of The View are going to have to be really careful, maybe pull Rosie aside and say, hey, listen, if you want to speak on this issue, and she has that right, the show is called The View, it's a show about opinion. They're going to have to say, if you want to talk like this, these are the facts, these are the things you should be focusing on. She's just not as well educated on the issue as she
well,
claims
can
to
I
be.
then say, if Rosie is on there saying these things, making these demands, putting this idea in the minds of millions of viewers, can I say this is the opinion of Barbara Walters, because Barbara lets Rosie say this stuff?
That's a fantastic point, and that's something Barbara Walters should be very cognizant of, because Barbara's really been going to bat for Rosie in this whole Donald Trump issue. She's come out and said, Donald's not telling the truth, I'm on Rosie's side, I want her here, I respect her opinion. And if Rosie continues to tout these opinions and interrupting guests and changing subjects and doing all the things she's doing.
Beating down poor Elizabeth.
Poor Elizabeth is right. She can barely get a word in edgewise at this point. I think Barbara Walters is going to have to really think long and hard about how Rosie's really portraying herself and by extension, the show.
Courtney Hazlett, OK Magazine. Courtney, thanks very much.
Thank you.